Hey folks, welcome to part 2 of Sally Garden's series. In part 1 we looked at the melody, we did a lot of ear training and melodic work, and now we have hopefully learned the melody and have it in our heads, and we are going to look at some, I guess we're going to call it contrapuntal accompaniment on the bouzouki or octave mandolin, tuned G dad, for those of you that don't already know. We're going to do this with the capo on the 5th fret. It is also, of course, possible to accompany this tune in quite a lovely style without the capo, using open G shapes. But today I really wanted to build off of the shapes that we used for the melody video, and we used the open D shapes for that video. So we're going to do it here. Okay, so launching right into it, my basic little default tonic chord pattern is just really quite simple. Just it really just consists of root octave, 5th octave. Boom, bee, boom, bee, boom, bee, boom. Okay, so that's a good sort of fallback for starting a tune off, or you actually can, you could really, if you have nice rhythm and nice technique with the right hand pick, you can actually make that work for most of the tune. But that's not what this video is about, is it? So I like to start off with that for a couple of beats, and then when we have our first, what I think of as our first distinctive melodic figure, which is yum ba ba de ba da ba de de da, those 3 notes, the da and dee and da, that's 5 6 5. I like to harmonize that with 3 4 3, right? So our melody was, and I'm gonna put under it for a final result of, right? Classic, right? Nothing too crazy or innovative about that. That's kind of just your default harmony that most people would do. So we have right there, and I'll actually do the double stop. So I'll do. So, hear that? So, that's what I'm hitting there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Now, our next part is yum ba ba da ba dee. So let's listen to the downbeats here. 5 3 5 6 7 8 6 5 3 2 3 1. The 5 is normal, right? That's still a tonic chord. But when you hear the 6 on the downbeat, what we want to think of is the 4, because 5 goes with 3 and 1. That's the tonic chord. 6 is going to pair nicely with 4 and 1, because that's what we call the 4 chord, right? So you might be thinking, why is it 6 4 1? Well, it's really 4 6 8. So it is in fact stacked the same way. So let's see, 1 3 5 4 6 8. So they're the same type of chord, but that 8 is the same thing as a 1. So we can bring that down and think of it as being 1 4 6. It's the same thing as 4 6 8. Anyway, so when we hear that prominent 6, we're going to harmonize that with a 4. So we have da, da, da. That's the 4th tone right there. Dum, da, da, da. And I typically approach it with a 3 before. Bum, bum, bum. yum ba da 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 dee. And now a great technique there is as the melody goes up in steps, follow it in steps, right? So the melody is, you're doing. Now, what do we do after that? Ooh, that could be nice. Ah, yes, I think that's what I did in the intro. So here I just use what I want. What I want is to create a sense of tonic and dominant, or home and away. So I'm going to use a 5-3, then a 4-2. So the 5 and 3 is the tonic. The 4 and 2 is going to be the dominant or away sound. So yun, da, 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 and those are quarter notes. So I'm going to sort of fill in alternate. I'm filling in the upstrokes with just like a neutral string, like this tone string. Right, hear how that sounds? That's 5, 3, 4, 2, 1. And that's a really nice phrase ending. That's sort of a nice circle closing phrase ending little gesture. So, you know, I don't know if I like the way that goes. No, actually, yeah, that is fine. Yeah, I like it. So here it is slowly. One more time. Now, if you slow that down really, really slow, you will hear there are some actually major seconds. There are some, quote, dissonances, but horizontally they work. So right there. But that momentary dissonance actually works really well. It creates a sense of wanting to resolve, right? So thus far, our first 4 measures are as follows. Now, this is so much fun. I love this style. When you're doing it, when you're doing it slowly, it sounds very clinical, but then when you speed it up, it really starts to be a lot of fun. So we just covered measures 1 through 4. Measures 5 through 8 are going to be the same, except the ending is going to instead of having an open ending that builds into the next measure, it closes and finishes on the tonic note. So listen to the difference between the first 4 measures and the second 4. Right, so that second phrase just simply comes to a close, right? So measures 5 and 6, we're going to use the identical phrase material from 1 and 2. Then 7 and 8, we're going to do this, which is one of my favorite little riffs. It's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 5 shape on 3 chords in a row: the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So the melody in question, like I just said, is a 1, 2, 3, 5. Yum ba ba bum. Oh, do, re, mi, sol. Then we do the same thing starting on the 4. So fa, sol, la, do. And then we do on the 5. And then we resolve to the tonic. It's the greatest riff ever. I used the crap out of this lick. It's great. Because a lot of these Irish tunes will fit that rhythm exactly, because they'll go dum ba ba da ba dee ba da ba da be bam. And so they have that tonic on the 4th beat of like a section, for example. Typically it'll be the last 2 measures of a phrase. It'll be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3. Or if we count just the big beats, 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. So what we're looking for on our accompaniment is something that lands on that 4th beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So those 4 beats that I just counted, those are half note beats, right? So they each have 4 eighth notes in them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the great thing is you've got the tonic on the open string, and then you've also got it here on the 5th fret. So you can sort of play around with that. You know, do a little slide to emphasize it or whatever. So that's our A section. We have up. Right? Great fun. Now the B section. The B section harmonically is really, really simple, because it's just going to be tonic chord, da 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 da, other chord, da 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 da, back to tonic chord, da 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 da, ending from the A section. That's all it is. Now, what is that other chord? Well, it's actually a kind of good question, because the notes that the melody actually plays are La and Re. Now, let's quickly think about our major options here. And I mean that both in terms of primary and also like major, the chord quality. We have the 1 chord, which is 1, 3, 5, also known as Do, Mi, Sol. That does not have La or Re in it. Okay, now we have the 4 chord. That's going to be Fa, La, Do. That does have a La, but it doesn't have a Re. Lastly, we have our 5 chord, Sol, Ti, Re. That's got a Re, but it doesn't have a Fa. I mean, sorry. That statement was true, but not what I meant to say. It has a Re, but it doesn't have a La. Okay, so when you have La and Re played in close proximity in an Irish tune, what the heck chord are you supposed to do? Well, you can kind of do a couple of different things. If you want to do major, I recommend sticking with the 4 chord, because Fa, La, so it's got the La, Do, and then the Re that it's technically missing has a very sweet and consonant sound when combined with those three other notes. Right? It's the sixth of that chord. So it's going to have a very mellow and sweet sound. So if you want to stick to your basic like little orbit of 145, 145 in terms of chords, I recommend using a 4 chord under this type of La Re melody. Now, some of you might already know the other answer is that you can use a minor chord. You can use a 2 chord, which is a Re chord. The Re chord is Re, Fa, and La. So that's got the Re and the La in it because that's just the way that it shakes out, right? So our tonic chord is like this, right? We could pepper in the third if we wanted to. Hear that nice hammer on? Now, our 2 chord, our Re chord, would be kind of awkward, honestly. It's this bar. You could throw that up there. I find that kind of awkward. So what I do is I actually use the 4 chord. Even though harmonically it doesn't match as exactly, but it just, I don't know. It helps the tune have a bit more of tonality, and it's hard to my reasoning for that I'd have to explain in a completely other video. It's less parallel because you see 1 to 2 is just parallel. Everything moves up exactly. I find that kind of boring, but 1 to 4 has more contrae and oblique motion just implicit in the chords. So that's why I use 4. So and I throw a 5 chord then at the end. So again, it's those shapes I showed you earlier. That's my 1 with the optional hammer on there. Then my 4 is, again, hammering on that note. Back to 1. And then 5 is this open string fretted here and then hammering on here. Or you can make a little scalar passage, right? If you master those 3 positions, you're going to be in great shape for the zouk. So, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to follow the melody of that, follow the rhythm of that melody. So, see how I'm going, I'm trying to follow that little syncopation. And I added a teensy little scalar run there. Just boo-ba-bum, boo-ba-bum, very simple. Just a little scalar run at the end there. Then I use the exact same run from the end of the A section to close out the B. I'll play the B section one more time, then I'll do the whole tune, and then we'll call it a day. All right, whole tune. I'll do it slowly once, and then I'll do it quickly, and then we will call it a day. This has been really fun. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. All right, here we go. And I did vary a couple things here and there. There's a few slight differences in, how you, there's the main things we covered, like, and then there's a few different ways you can connect the dots, right? And I didn't necessarily memorize one exact arrangement before I launched into this video, but hopefully you can see the main pieces that you need to get this style down. And now, quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, on the second run through, I gave myself freedom to have a little fun and do a couple variations there with the minor chord and a couple of other runs. Anyway, as always, hope you enjoyed the video. I've had quite a lot of requests for more Bouzouki Counterpoint and melody lessons. So, there it is, and we can continue to do more. Please comment on the video, like the video, send me messages, because the last thing that I want to be doing is creating content that people would rather be seeing something else, or that people have too many questions about, or so in other words, I really savor that communication with you all, because it helps me feel like I'm doing something helpful and productive. So yeah, keep sending the messages and keep practicing, and I will see you all in the next video.